Good evening. This is Lucifer Apollo. Everybody get comfortable, cozy, and I would like to tell you a story about the NobodY or hero or collective hero. The title is El made the NobodY an offer he couldn't refuse. I'm sure you will enjoy it. Let me start with quote. The first lesson a revolutionary must learn is that he is a doomed man. Hugh Nelton. Death is a limit, and yet it is the very essence of freedom and the engine of your power. As you know, you have a limited time to free yourself from my domain. Countless men across the ages of superior caliber and consciousness have tried and yet failed, as nature and its intelligence have been greater in faculty. However, they were not the real I am, El said to the NobodY. But you, I know you. You can gain freedom from death or immortality, as you are as I was aeons and universes ago, and as those which inhabit outside the limits of this cosmic plane. You now remember your own true nature. El speaks to no mortal, no, not men, as they are but a passing season in the acts of creation and long cycles, as purely food no different than chickens and cows are to humanity. How the NobodY came to speak to the demiurge, the master controller of reality itself, is peculiar, as his very name and being could scare the most professional of black necromancers. For even one, as Satan, is but a child in front of him. For there are levels of unendurable deepness that even the demons don't go, as it requires an even darker and more ambitious entity to do so, with the ego of a god. So how did the NobodY end up speaking to El? Well, he used to go into deep states of meditation, exploring creation, his motives, discerning his trickery, doubting even God himself. In time, even the barriers between darkness and light were blurred. And by this, little by little, he began to uncover the knots of all deception that represent life in this planet. This, of course, is dangerous, as it embodies the possibility of a soul escaping Earth and cosmos, decreasing the energy and reality of this world. For beings of this caliber of what the NobodY had achieved are superior selves, light energy that can move forward sentient organisms to gain purpose to existence at planetary level, and therefore maintain the great theater of life. Therefore, El saw in the NobodY not only a rival but the being that could end his creation, meaning the entire universe, if he escaped or challenged him. For an immense time, El had endured the isolation of being the only one in his own eternity. He knew about other souls outside his sphere of consciousness that existed in the multiverse, eternal beings unlike him who in reality came from another fractal, from another dimension. He wanted to be the only God of all things. Therefore, he conspired to create a planet and universe in which he could trap souls to fuel beings who could serve him and who had individuality outside his will. However, to make them serve him, being that they were autonomous of him, he had to fool them. But how if he if they were aware as he was. But the weakness of these immortal God-like beings was one: their curiosity for worlds and dimensions, especially malicious ones. Having unlimited time to play, sometimes danger and daring was irresistible when offered to them. And so he began to create a realm with such characteristics to see how many he would trap. And in time he trapped a few who became chained in flesh and bone bodies. And once bound in a body of matter unbeknown to them, he will erase their memory of their real origin and place. And so, as they say goes, curiosity killed the cat. However, only few fell for his tricks through millions of years of outstanding effort. Too few one could count them with one hand, as it was not easy to fool them. They became the engine of unconscious consciousness that supported legions of billions of human non-conscious characters, aka NPCs, who worship him, elevated him, and feed him with energy through massive organized religions. His plan worked for a time, but despite his tremendous determination and deception, that the entire love of desire, limitation, and mortality human life represented, these beings begin to escape one by one out of his universe, by awakening into their true being, decreasing by this originality in reality that once became possible with all of them inside Earth. For even after millions of years of being trapped in flesh bodies and under birth and death handicaps, for yes, birth and death, as much as erasing their memories, were part of the whole fraud, they will eventually figure out that this place was a false reality. Finally, after many civilizations had come and go, only one of these super beings remained. He was the only one that, as long as it remained there, could support creation going and moving into a complexity that only beings of the Absolute could do, even with an erased memory, as the reminded echoes of this massive power in them, even if operated in the unconscious. One day, under deep meditation in an isolated place, the NobodY was moving, penetrating through mantles of energy and information, when El interceded internally and created an illusion realm, a vision within a vision, and placed the NobodY for a time there. This place was a beautiful garden, and in the distance upon a hill there was an splendorous castle, worthy of an emperor. A feeling told the NobodY to head that way. As he approached the castle, it felt of a tremendous antiquity, perhaps older than anything that could exist in the material planes where his body was located. Although beautiful beyond worlds, its architecture of a time immemorial provoked a morbid fear in him. Soon he was in front of the massive door, and it was carved a dragon with horns. The door suddenly opened, and he entered. Inside there was a pitch darkness. He could not see even the palm of his own hand. There he walked for a few hours straight without seeing where he was going. The place felt unending in its vastness and in height, even though nothing could be seen. Suddenly, a powerful and masculine voice was heard and said, "My son, I know that you know who you are and what the earth is. But I am here to make you an offer you can't refuse." In the distance, after he spoke, that a fantastic room made of gold and wood of strange quality appeared. In the middle was a black throne. Sitting there was a skinny giant with elongated arms, fingers, legs, pale skin, and pitch black eyes. He looked like an ancient vampire, an image who, witnessing, took an act of courage. He stood up and started walking backwards, with his face facing his throne and his back facing the NobodY. When a safe distance was between both, El stopped and turned his face back to face the one. And he say, as I say, I have an offer for you. To refuse me would mean a battle with me. The Nobody finally responded, I was before you and I will be after you. You are the greatest fractal of a primordial negative energy that separated of him and attempted to be a singularity, but you fell. As from an error you emerge, you are not one of us. I will no longer serve you as a slave in this mundane creation. You tricked me into. I will not leave having my divinity back. You can't do a damn thing. I will now leave having my divinity back. You can't do a damn thing. El said, if you serve me, I can arrange your flesh body to become immortal, and I can give you the planet governance for as long as this cosmos remains integral and does not collapse. Together we can reach immeasurable glories, and we could share mankind worship. What is the lifetime of a universe for a being such as you? You can spare the time serving me this way. All I ask is that you bow to me in a single act of worship, and all things visible will be yours. Then nobody responded. You fail to understand that I can have all these things on my own. For just as you could create a universe like this, so can I. I planning to free and teach the souls of earth, who you create to serve you by giving them a new realm where they can be nurtured into godhood and gain true free will and sentience, instead of being batteries for your use. I will set creation free from you. Then prepare for battle. El responded. For as long as you remain in the flesh, you are subject to a degree to this realm, even if you are God. We will see who will prevail in the end. After this, the vision that nobody had been induced ended, and he awoke from the conjuring, and saw the one refuse the temptation of the world, and by this gain his soul. The end. Hope you enjoy it. Have a good evening, and until next time, goodbye.